Hello, my name is Maria, and welcome to today's training on Microsoft Forms for your nonprofit. With this tool, we'll be showing you how to build questionnaires, surveys, evaluations, and more, all with Microsoft Forms. A little bit about myself. I'm the Academy Lead here at Advisicon. I'm a Microsoft Certified Professional, and I'll be walking you through today's training. So let's get started. Today, we'll be starting with what is Microsoft Forms and why use it. On top of that, then we'll be going into how to build a form. So we'll be jumping into a demo and we'll be talking about how to build a form, how to share a form and a template, and then how to utilize Microsoft Forms when it comes to Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Forms, what is it? So Microsoft Forms is an application that is available within Microsoft 365 that you can utilize to create surveys, polls, questionnaires, any sort of form where you're looking for feedback. This app is lightweight so that you can be using it with your workstation and your cell phone. This app is available so that you don't have to struggle with Word, you don't have to struggle with a different tool. You can keep it all within Microsoft and create a survey that is easy and simple to send out to all of the people in your organization and external to your organization. So what you can actually see on the right of the slide is an example of one of the evaluation forms that we at Advisicon built out and we send after our 1 or 2 day trainings in order to get feedback. So why use these though? Why do we use Microsoft Forms? Why bother to build a questionnaire? Why bother to build a survey? The main thing here is communication. Communication is very important when it comes to an organization, whether you are a nonprofit or for-profit. Communication is important to getting things done on time, within budget, and in scope. So why use Microsoft Forms? The biggest thing is communication. When you're sending out a questionnaire or survey, internally or externally in your company, you are encouraging people to give their opinion and their thoughts on the event or the meeting or the items that you sent out. And that kind of feedback is allowing you to grow and better yourself as a nonprofit and organization. This gives everybody within and externally to your organization a voice. It makes them feel like their opinion matters. And that's hugely important. We want everybody to feel that way because it's true. It's also encouraging feedback. If you're taking the time and asking for their opinion, you're encouraging people to offer their thoughts and opinions in order to better things for the next time. This then allows you to have a stored repository of lessons learned. When it comes to a Microsoft form, you can save the answers that people are submitting. So you can store these, whether it's through OneDrive or SharePoint, but you can have a central location of all of this feedback in order to better yourself as a nonprofit. On top of all of these wonderful things, you have a great way to collect new ideas. Microsoft Forms is an awesome tool that allows people to submit new ideas that they might have, whether it's for a product, whether it's for different advertising methods or different donation methods. Everybody has ideas, and when you utilize Microsoft Forms, you're giving them an outlet to put those ideas into, which then allows you to create a repository of those as well in order to better your nonprofit for the next time. So we're going to just jump right into the demo here and look at Microsoft Forms itself. So this is the home page to the Microsoft Forms tool. How you would find it is by clicking the little waffle icon up here in the left-hand corner. And you'll see all of these apps available. And for me, Microsoft Forms is right here. Now for you, it may not be. And if you're not seeing it, all you have to do is click all apps and it'll list all of the apps available to you. And you can just go to Microsoft Forms, whether you click here or you can click the ellipses here and open in a new tab. So this Microsoft Forms homepage is actually relatively new. They just recently changed the interface. So what we have here first is anything we've recently accessed. So we can see the one here that's Microsoft Forms for your nonprofit that I built with our demo account, Sarah Davis. We can see anything that's been pinned. So if we went over here, we would see anything, any office documents that were pinned. We can also see any Microsoft Forms that were shared with me. Below here, you can also see any groups that you're a part of. So we can see that I'm part of the Caribbean sales trip, the new life plan, lobby tracking, though none of these actually have any forms currently associated to them. You can associate a Microsoft form to a Microsoft team or Office 365 group. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. Last thing before we go look at all of our forms is I want to point out that you can just get started by clicking the New Form button up here. So if you're ready to get going, feel free to just click this button and start building. Over here, if you ever wanted to, you could look at building a new quiz. So if you didn't want to just go into a form, you could look at new quizzes instead. Now we're going to just jump into right now all my forms. So this little button right here. So we can see for our demo user, Sarah Davis, she only has one form currently, the one I built for this training. So let's go ahead and just take a look at what that's like. And then we're going to replicate it in my Advisicon account. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on it, and it's going to open up the form, the completed form. Now, when we're looking at this, we're looking at it from an editing perspective. This is not what the user is going to see when you send it to them. You are currently in editing mode. So we can see right off the bat, if you highlight anything, the question is surrounded by dark gray. That's because we can just go in and start clicking and editing. So we can see I just clicked who was your instructor today. We've got David Bentz, Maria Fenn, and Ken Lowen and other. I can go in, I can make changes, I can make improvements. You'll notice right now that this is a little red, like we've got a red button here or maroon. This is all custom themes. So these are tweaks I made to this form in order for me to make it feel a little better or a little prettier than what it originally was. So we can see our title. These are all of the questions we have. You can see a section for responses here. I'm going to go through what it's like to be building this in just a second. But you can see these are what it would look like in editing mode when you have a form that's already been put together. I do also want to point out the background. This is not an Office 365 background. In fact, this is a picture of my little puppy when we had snow a couple months back. So this is Ahsoka. This is a new feature that they've added to Microsoft Forms where you can now add a picture of your own for the background. It used to be there were just stock images. Now you can just do your own images to kind of personalize your questionnaire. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll walk through how to do this. And to do that, what I'm going to do now first is go to this form section again. I'm going to pull this to the side. And we can see there it is. Back to the home page, we're just going to go ahead and select New Form. So this is what it will look like when you're starting from a blank new form. What you're going to want to do first is obviously add a title. In this case, we're going to be replicating, so we've got the one I had before, so Microsoft Forms for your nonprofit. We're going to make it evaluation, because this is a training course evaluation. Now, you're not limited to evaluations. You are limited to as much as your imagination will allow you to go. You can do surveys, polls, anything that requires feedback, you can send. Quizzes, they have that quizzes template that we'll take a look at in just a moment. Now, you'll start off with your title and you want to add a brief description. So this is an evaluation form. So not only is this a description though, this is instructions for the user. So I'm not just going to say this is what this is, I'm going to tell the user what to do. Please fill out the below questions. To tell us how we did. And so when the user sees this, they'll see that the goal of this evaluation form is for them to go in and then make updates to each of the questions so that we know what they're thinking. Now I'm just going to click Add New, and the reason I'm doing that is because I want to add the new section today. Now, this is a cool new feature. So I've created this form before. So what it's saying is, well, it recognizes that I've made this form before. So it's asking, do I want to use previous questions I've utilized today? Now, I could just go ahead and say add all. In this case, I'm not going to. We want to go through each step. But that is a fun feature that is available within Microsoft Forms. So if you're creating similar questionnaires or similar surveys, there is a little bit of automated intelligence working to make your experience a little smoother. But first, what I'm going to do is add a choice option. So we're going to select choice here, and we're going to go, who was your instructor today? Because you've got to know who we're talking about. Now we can see option 1 We'll just do David Fence. We'll do option 2, that's me. And then 3, let's throw in a little silliness here. We'll just throw in Ahsoka, my dog, because, she would give trainings if she could. She loves people. And then next we're going to do Ken Lowen. And then on top of that, what we could do is add another option, or we can add other option. And what that does is it leaves an other box for the user to type in their instructor. Now notice each time I did this, when I was adding a row, I was selecting enter. So I don't have to just click add an option each time. I absolutely can, but it's a lot faster for me as the user to just go in and click the enter button and add more rows that way. A couple things I want to point out here before we go to the next question is here we have this copy question. So if you're going to be creating similar questions to this number 1, you can select that and it'll copy it. Notice now this is 2, the same question is above here. You can delete a question by simply selecting the little trash can here. This is what my form is so far. I'm going to click back into here to edit. These arrows are meant to rearrange questions, and we'll show that in just a second. Next, I can actually add an image too if I wanted to. If I wanted to add a little icon, or if I wanted to go in and add a video for this question, I can do that as well. I can do it through Bing, I can grab something from my OneDrive, I can also just upload something from my desktop. So if I wanted to add we've got this little minion here, I can. Or I can choose to remove that or edit it. So we could edit the photo here, we could zoom in, we could make it larger, we could add some text to it here, or we can just go ahead and remove it. If your question if you're okay with having multiple answers for a singular question, you can choose to turn on multiple answers. Like if there are 2 instructors in your training, you'd want to let somebody have the option to select multiple people. You don't have to though. On top of that, you can choose to make something required. So this is something we would want required because obviously somebody's not going to be attending a training where there is not an instructor. So we want to make sure that they're filling this in as they go. The next section, we're going to be adding a rating. Through here, you can choose to have 5 stars, you can do 3 stars. Using this drop down for the levels, you can give however many stars up to 10 that you want to determine how well this course was delivered. So we're going to give them a question here. This is going to be, how would you rate this class? We're going to do 5 stars. It's a good round number. We can also choose different symbols. If we wanted just to do numbers, we could. I prefer stars, but that's just my personal preference. Again, we want to make sure this required is checked off because we want to know how well we did in the course. Next question we're going to add is we're going to go ahead and click Add New, and then we're going to add a text box. Text boxes are great because then you can just let your user have some free-form feedback. In this case, we're going to ask them to enter any comments they would like to add about the class. Now, right now, we have this as a short answer, so they could fill about 1 line here. What I'm going to let them do is do a long answer. Notice this expands the box. This will give them more text option. They can add more content about their thoughts of the course. So now, since this question isn't necessarily required, maybe not everybody's going to want to be giving comments on the class, I'm going to actually uncheck this. We don't want this question specifically to be required. Now notice if I wanted to, I could rearrange this. This little arrow is now available since I have more than 1 question here. I could put this higher, I can make it lower, whatever I need to do. I'm going to add another question now. Now this is going to be kind of fun. This is going to be, so we're going to click the drop down here for more question types. And we're going to do a Likert. A Likert allows you to gauge depending on different statements. So in this case, what we're going to do is do the please rate the following statements. So this is the question. This is what we're asking our users to do. And we're going to give them numeric values. So 1 is strongly disagree. And then we get to 5, which is going to be strongly agree. So now I need to determine what I'm going to do. Do I just want to put strongly agree, strongly disagree in these options, or do I just want to do numeric values? And in this case, I'd like to do numeric values. The reason is because this will export to an Excel file. So if I'm doing numeric values like 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 5, then what I can do later in my Excel file is actually have a total. I can use some formulas in Excel to give me an average. I can use them to give me a total points later when I export this. So now we need some statements. What do we want to rate? Well, the first thing is, in my opinion, if you remember the white fluffy dog, is Ahsoka adorable? Now, you have the option to rate now between strongly disagree, which, that'll never happen. She's too cute. But all the way up to strongly agree that she is very, in fact, adorable. The next option we have, and something that you'll be able to relate to, is the instructor was well prepared. And this doesn't have to just be instructor. This could be the event manager, event coordinator. You could be getting feedback on the presenter for an event or the booths at an event. All of this can be catered to your needs. It's an easy to use tool that you can be just inputting anything you want feedback on. Now, you don't want to necessarily add 50 questions unless this is a quiz, but the point is that you can add anything that you need and as many as you need. So we've got the instructor was well prepared. The next question would be the instructor had examples relatable to me. Then the user will be able to say either 1, they strongly disagree, or 5, they do really strongly agree, or something in the middle. Next one would be the instructor talks too much about Ahsoka. I have a tendency to talk way too much about her because I think she is adorable and beautiful and I get to take her to work. But she's worth it and I love her. Alrighty, and then the next one here, we're gonna add another question. Next one is add what topics would you be interested in learning about? So it's always good to get some new ideas, but we want to potentially keep them contained within a certain field. In this case, for this evaluation, I want to keep them within the tools of Microsoft. So I'm going to do choice here again, and we're going to go ahead, what other topics be interested in learning about? And this is something that's great to send, whether it's after an event or even just internally. If you are internally working to make sure that your coworkers are growing, but you need some internal training, but you're not entirely sure what, but you do need to keep it within a certain category of items, this is a great way to send it across the organization and get that feedback from them. So we've got option 1 here is project for the web. Option 2 here, I'm just going to click down, is Outlook. Option 3 is Microsoft Teams. I'm going to click Add option again for a day in the life of Ahsoka. We have to mix things up a little bit. And then I'm going to add another option because we do want other feedback. So if other people have other ideas and we want to make sure those are accounted for, we'll include that other box. Now we can choose multiple answers here and that we want this required, or we can just let this be, completely up to you. Another fun feature within Microsoft Forms is you can actually add the ability for people to upload a file. So if I click the more options here, we can see there's a ranking, there's Likert, there's the file upload, and that's what we're talking about. So what this will do is it'll create a folder in your OneDrive, and then this OneDrive will have all of those files, pictures, anything you need uploaded to that OneDrive folder. Now note with this, anybody who responds to this resume and adds any files, those names and the details of the files will automatically be recorded in OneDrive. We'll go ahead and click OK. And then just to get everybody engaged, we'll do please upload an image of your family pet. So other examples that you can have of this is perhaps everybody was using a lab in a training and you wanted to get to see their work on the lab. So you could actually ask them to please upload their finished lab. So some courses have certifications. If the certification is finished but they need the lab once everybody is done, you can actually ask them to upload the lab to the Microsoft form, and then if they have the form submitted, then they get their certification. There's a lot of ways you can work with this in order to get what you need after a training, event, or anything else. Or if you're trying to be fun like me when it comes to a training and add a little bit of humor here and there, you can always ask people to upload an image of their family pet, because who doesn't love pets? Alrighty, next we're going to be talking about how likely are you to recommend us to a friend or colleague. How you would add that is to go add a new one. We're going to click the drop down here, and that's what this net promoter is. And then it gives you the options between 0 to 10. So there's no real ability here to change the numbers. If you want the ability to change how many numbers or how many values you're seeing in this, you're better off using the ranking than the net promoter. But what you can change is the verbiage. So you can choose, instead of not likely at all, to strongly disagree. And then all the way to 10 would be strongly agree, or to any relevant version to you. And you can make this required. You want to know how they felt about this training and if they would have somebody else take it. The next thing we're going to be doing is adding one final question, but this question is not going to be visible to everyone taking the evaluation, because what we're going to do is add branching. So first off, let's add the question. So the thought process here is that if they do want to be notified of future classes, that they will give us their email. So in that case, we would say to be notified about future classes or events, please enter your email below. Great way to collect emails that you can be sending out for donation requests or updates of upcoming events. They would enter their email here, and since they're just doing an email, instead of making this a long answer, we're going to go ahead and leave it as short. Now we can add branching to the question above. So I'm going to click this again to open it for editing mode, and I'm going to click the ellipses here, and we'll make sure we're on the question 8 of would you like to be notified of future classes. And now I'm going to go down here and click Add Branching. The reason we added the question first before adding branching was because branching lets you choose where you're going to go next depending on the answer of the user. So if the answer of the user is yes, they would like to be notified of a future class, we're going to have them go to question 9 here. And these numbers are all auto-populated by Microsoft Forms. So I'm going to scroll down. We want to go further. There's question 9 here at the very bottom. And then if they say no, they don't want to be notified of a future class, we're going to click the drop down to go to the end of form. And I'll show you what that's going to look like for the user in just a second. So now going all the way up to the top here, we're going to click back. We've added our branching. Our form is lovely and finished, and we've been able to do it within a short amount of time. I want to add a little bit of flair, but then we're going to take a look at what the user sees. So now, I mean, the background's pretty plain and there's no special coloring here, so I want to add that next. So to add the background and coloring, up here in the right-hand corner, we're going to click Theme. So themes, so these come with the Forms tool, so you could click these fun stock images. Got some really cool ones, or you can scroll to the very bottom and click the plus button here. From here, you can either choose to do a custom color, or you can do a custom image. So if you wanted to do a custom color, you can stick the hexadecimal. So let's see, let's grab the hexadecimal for maroon. It's one of my favorite colors. There it is. We're going to grab it from Google. Go back to the form here. I'm going to enter it at the end of this. And now we have, and so this is lightened. And the reason they're lightening it is they obviously don't want dark red in your face, but dark red accents here. We can see the little icon is now dark red. We've got questions, which is in dark red. On top of this, or aside from this, depending on how you want to proceed, we can add a picture in the background here. And that's where I included my picture of Ahsoka in the back and the beautiful snow from a couple months back. So I'm going to click, so we can do an image search. So if I click here, this will open up Bing. but you want to be responsible, so it is reminding you, be responsible in respecting others' rights, especially when it comes to copyright. You can go to OneDrive. You can also upload an image from your desktop. So here I'm just going to go ahead and grab this Winter with Pup. And then what it's going to do is it's going to add her as a background. And I love just the positioning of how this turned out. So now it's done. We can see Ahsoka's little face right there, all the beautiful snow. Go back and we're finished. Now we've added our flare. We can just go on and see what it would look like from the user perspective. So I'm going to go ahead and click preview now. So this is what I would see as the user. So if I was coming in to fill in the survey, I would first see, the hi Sarah, in this case this is Sarah because it's our demo user. When you submit this form, the owner will be able to see your name and email address. I can start going in and I can choose the instructor. I can type in other. I can rate the class here. You can see it's really pretty maroon color, just love that. And then I can enter any comments. This class was good, was really helpful. One thing I would have wanted is, and then you can add whatever feedback. If we go down, you can see here this Ahsoka's adorable, should be 5 in my opinion. Instructor was well prepared. You can do all of these things here. You can do Microsoft Teams for what topics you'd be interested, but I can also do project for the web. This is the interface the users are going to see when it comes to their computer. Now I want to point down here before we move to mobile. Would you like to be notified of future classes? If I click no, nothing changes. If I click yes, the question 9 then becomes visible, and then I can enter my email address, which it is required because obviously that's the whole purpose of clicking yes. So you can create a complex survey or a complex quiz where if they answer one question, then 3 other questions then become available. It's a great way in order to build out and see the knowledge base of the user. So now if we can see the mobile interface. So this is what it looks like if it was on a desktop or on your laptop, but if I was to open up this survey on my phone, I would just click mobile up here and I can see what it looks like. So this is mobile friendly. The way that Microsoft Forms is set up is so that you don't have to have another app. You can just use the website here and it's good enough for both your phone and your desktop. All right, now that I'm done previewing what this would look like, I'm just going to go ahead and click back. Now, what if you want to share this? You've built out this lovely form, but you're not going to be the only one using it. You want to share it with other people. So how you would do that is you'd click this share button. We're going to kind of gloss over this first section for a second, and we're going to share as a template. You can share as a template and you can share to collaborate. All you need to do is select the get a link to duplicate. So see, get a link to duplicate, get a link to duplicate. So users, anybody with the link can duplicate this form or this evaluation in order to make it their own. So for example, if I click copy here, and we'll see, you can see I've got my Sarah Davis account here. I'm in my Sarah Davis Edge profile. I'm going to open up my Maria profile here. So I'm opening up my Maria profile, see my Advisicon headshot. I'm going to go ahead and paste the link that I just copied from my Microsoft form. So now I'm seeing it from a user perspective. But on the top here is duplicate this form and start to use it as your own. So now all I have to do is select duplicate. And now I have my own copy. I can make adjustments, I can change the color, I can change the photo. It's asking me to sign in with my Advisicon account, not a problem. And there we have it. Now I can start making adjustments. I can switch out instructors, I can change the theme color, can go in and change, scroll down, click the little customize button. I can start changing the color here, I can change the picture, I can do whatever is needed to get my form up and running and share it with other people. So going back to the Sarah Davis account, we'll see we're back here. What about sharing it with other people so that they can take it, so they can actually fill out this evaluation? How you'll do that is this top section here. So you copy this link and you send it to your users. Now, currently, the settings are set so that only people in my organization can respond. So only people at Advisicon who have this link can respond to my evaluation. I can change that though. I can click the drop down and I can say specific people in my organization can respond. Anyone can respond. Now, there is one downside to having the file download, because if you have the file download option in your form, you cannot do that where everybody can respond. This is only for your organization. So if I went in here and I removed this question, now we'll see it's gone. Skips right over it. I'm going to go back to share. And now if I want to share this with anybody, I can do that now. Now I can also choose, this is a pretty long link when you look at it. I can choose to shorten it so that when I copy it, it's a lot shorter. All I then need to do is copy, and I can send it to anybody through Microsoft Teams, email, however you need. I can make it a QR code. So if they scan this QR code, they'll be able to then access the evaluation or survey. I can also make it where it's a paste it in a web page or put it in Sway. So this allows me to put it in a web page. And lastly, I can always email it, which will then open my email or mail for me to send it to anybody who needs it. Now, you don't have to do it through mail. You can just copy paste it into an email if you're not using the mail app. So last thing we're going to cover today is a form in Microsoft Teams. You can add forms in Microsoft Teams. So let's say you have a general Microsoft Teams that is accessible to anybody within the company, so that way you can share communications across the organization, so you can share updates or memes or GIFs all across your organization. How you would add a form to that is you find the team that you want to add the form to. So there's examples would be you have one for the organization, you have one for HR or for a certain department. You can then go in and find the relevant channel. In this case, I'm just going to click General. Once you have the relevant channel that you want for this Microsoft form, all you have to do is select the plus button here, and then you can go into Forms. Now I have a choice. I can either create a shared form that my team can edit and then see the results, or I can add an existing form. So I could do a brand new one. I could do Microsoft for your nonprofit evaluation. We'll click Save. And there it is. It's ready to receive responses. So I could do other. Let's say my cat Momo was, somehow weirdly able to do a training. I would rate this class as 5 stars. Next, I'd like to see interactive opportunities. Next, I can go into, I can say Ahsoka is adorable. I can say the instructor was prepared. I can go that the instructor has a relatable examples. Since they're my examples, they're very relatable to me. And probably talks a little too much about Ahsoka. But on top of it now, we can see that I want to learn about Project for the Web, Outlook, Microsoft Teams, and maybe Microsoft Project as well. Now this version has the upload file option, and since this is in my organization's Microsoft Teams, that works great. So I can actually upload any file I need to with this survey. Or I can just go ahead and skip over it, it's not required, and say if I would recommend this to a colleague. And then if I want to be notified of future classes, I can say yes, or I can just go ahead and say no. Now when I submit, and I open this survey back up again in my Maria profile, because this is my copy. This is not the one in Sarah Davis, this is my copy version. Immediately, you can see that I have one response. And so we can see that as one other response, we've got a 5-star average rating. When you have more than one, you're going to see more interactive, more numbers, better variances, and you'll get a lot more feedback. But you can see one response here for any comments you'd like to add. I'd like more interactive opportunities. And then you can look at ratings here for each item. It'll give you a summary of each question and the averages and height and other details associated. A benefit of all of this is that you can then open this in Excel. When you open it in Excel, you export all of the answers to your Microsoft form. You export them all to this Excel document, which then you can store in your hard drive. You can store them in SharePoint, OneDrive. We always recommend storing it in a cloud-based software, so do whatever you can, of course, to obviously keep it from getting accidentally deleted. So enable editing, but now we can see the idea of this. We can see the start completion time. It did not take me very long to finish this survey. My email is a part of this, my name, who was my instructor, all other details. That way, if I had more, the benefit of numeric values here is if I have, 10 different responses, I can just in Excel sum up the total of them and get an average. That's the great thing here about having numeric values. Then all you have to do is save this in your OneDrive or Microsoft Teams. Okay, so today we were able to talk about Microsoft Forms and why you would use it. We were able to look at how to build a form, how to share it and share a template, and then we were able to look at Microsoft Forms in Microsoft Teams. Okay, thank you so much for joining us on today's training for Microsoft Forms for your nonprofit. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We'll see you next time.